couple of things I was touching on is the aspect of a couple of analogies that I see it as there's really three different time factors, and that is past, present, and future. You know, that's really the way I see it. And I use that analogy of Oreo cookie a lot. You know, where they might even have new kinds of Oreo cookies now. Maybe they're green and pink, I don't know. But the ones that I remember and that I refer to are the two black sides and then the white creamy stuff in the middle, right? That's still the typical Oreo cookie, right? I hope.
Still make them.
Okay. I'm picturing a strawberry Oreo cookie in my mind for some reason.
Multicolors.
Do they?
Yes.
Okay. I'll check that out next.
It's like pinky fuchsia, and then a little greeny.
That's a
I think
shame.
they got chocolate ones now too.
That's a shame. Chocolate I could see.
No, I mean, you still got the originals. But,
Yeah.
you know.
But as far as, you know, let's just get to the chase where that creamy white stuff in the middle is the present moment, and then the two black sides represent the past and the future. You know, so it's like that present moment is sandwiched in between our past and the future. Our past and our future, or maybe our past and our future, you know, depending on where we look at time. And I've actually run into people that see time as a circular, they see it like a clock, you know, their time is a clock. And they actually, sadly, live their life like the Groundhog Day syndrome, you know, where the same thing again and again and again. And that's how they really visualize their time, you know. So there's no walking into the future and no leaving the past behind. And a lot of people don't really even think about any of these things. They don't, you know, they don't have that awareness. But like Mark, if you're going to point to your future, where would it be?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Figure it out right now. You're being
How about
told
Joe? Where would your future be?
Future?
Yeah.
My future?
Yeah.
Where will I be?
No, if you're going to point to it.
Oh, that way.
Okay, right in front of you. Okay.
Straight ahead.
I would say that too, ahead of me, in front of me, right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're pointing at me like I'm your future. Okay. Do you not understand what we're saying? Like a lot of people say, well, this is my past. I look at my past back here and my future in front of me. When I'm explaining past and future, I mean, and that's usually where I look at it. My future is here, my past is here. When I'm talking to a group of people, a lot of times I say past and future, just because it's more of a linear thing that people can see, you know, like my past and my future, that kind of thing. And but in most people's situations, they are, you know, they represent the present moment. They are in the middle of it. My past is here, my future is here, my past is here, my future here, whatever. So we are like that creamy part in the Oreo cookie. We are that presence, that present moment where we don't have that past and the future. So we say that time is a construct, or it's constructed by the mind. And it's very true. It is from the aspect that we create our past from our memories, and that's all they are. It's nothing substantial or anything, but our memories are our past, and our imagination and what we create is our future. And so our past has all the lessons, you know, it's very valuable, and our future is full of inspiration and wonderful stuff if we look at it that way. For some people, their future is very bleak. And again, I'm looking at I'm talking about my future like this, but I could say my future like that, but I would be pointing at everybody. That's how this thing came about. And so when we look at the aspect of time, it's something that we all have in common. If we can supposedly walk into our future, and like I'm walking into my future and creating my future that's ahead of me and that kind of thing. But the present moment is the area that is, we say that if we want to discover our true nature, it is the present moment that we reside in. And so in meditation, our goal is to rest in that presence, or that present moment reality, our present moment awareness. We say that we learn more about ourselves, or we discover our true nature or our Buddha nature being in this presence, simply because we're not allowing the mind to go into the past or go into the future, because what is located there are the hindrances. All of the hindrances, particularly the four mental hindrances of desire, restlessness and worry, the anger or ill will, and doubt are held within our past and the future. So as long as we come into the presence and we stay there, the hindrances are gone, and then we have this clarity of mind because we are able to concentrate. We're able to rest in that, and then that is the present moment. So the present moment is likened to meditating without the hindrances, which is really our goal from the Buddhist perspective. From the Theravada Buddhist tradition, we wanted to get rid of the hindrances, not try to force them out, but notice when we can rest in the present moment without the hindrances. And so the present moment and the hindrances are pretty much the same thing from that perspective. Does that make sense? Everybody see that? Understand that? See if there's any questions here. I want to remind the people watching here that if you have questions, let me know. Bring them up, and because I can see all your remarks here if you're on chat or the live chat. So I know a lot of you are tuning in, but you don't get into the live chat. And if you want to ask questions, just do it. I have my iPad right here. I can see it. I can see every move you're making. Well, not really, but what you're writing, I can. So, and if there's anything that's not clear, let me know. So, we have a language of time, and time is really an agreement with other people. We say that I'll be there in a moment. And what's a moment? It's a moment in time. So it's an agreement that we have. We have an agreement of our future. Like when we talk about our tomorrows or our next weeks, these are just a language of time that we use. We have a language about our past as well. We even say it when somebody passed away. When somebody passed away, it means that they died. In the future or in the past, and we have all these different ways that we describe time, and time has a lot to do with our lives, of course, but it does have a lot to do with our spirituality and particularly our meditation practice when it comes to it. So our awareness of time is very important, particularly when things come up for us, and that's what I was writing about today. When things come up in our past, and how do we recognize these things as being negative or positive, and what should we do? What should we do with them? And so, if we recognize them as being something that came up in the past, we can see that it is just something that it's a memory, something that we created. It might be something that's been repressed by the subconscious. And if it comes up out of the subconscious, that's actually a very good thing because it's likely something that's been buried for a while. If it's just a simple memory, it's something that, just a simple memory can serve us in many ways. Sometimes these memories that come up during our meditations, for example, are just nuisances. They might be memories of things that happened recently that have been coming up again and again and again, like paying a bill or I have to do my taxes, I got this extension on my taxes, but yet I'm still taking advantage of that, and I haven't even thought about getting them together, blah, 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 blah. So these things can come up again. That's a true story, by the way. And these things come up again and again and again, and cause, interruptions, to our precious, stillness of mind that we find in the present moment. So if something is repressed, and it comes up, as I said, it can be very healthy and very good. So the subconscious mind, it's very interesting. Well, let's just look at memory by itself for a moment. If there's something that's emotionally charged, something that, let's say we're having a conversation with somebody, a good, nice, long 30-minute conversation, and they criticize something that we did, really point out something that they feel was a character flaw on our part, like they really criticized us. There's likely a good chance that we will forget that entire conversation except for that moment where they criticized us, because emotion is connected with memory, very, very, very tightly connected, with our memory. So we can not remember what we had for breakfast 2 or 3 days ago, but we can remember when somebody says a cutting remark to us, or does, or maybe that guy that flipped us off in traffic or something like that. We can remember those moments because there's emotion behind it, whether it's anger or fear or whatever, kind of emotion might be connected with it. It is a part of our memory, and that can come up in our meditation. And on the other side of the spectrum is the other side of emotion that's so powerful that the subconscious blocks it from us. It represses it from us so that we don't remember these things. The subconscious thinking that is protecting us, that it's serving us by not allowing us to remember these things. And that's the classic PTSD syndrome, and those kind of things can come up through triggers and things like that. The classic case of somebody, the war veteran, that comes back and he hears a helicopter and all these things come up. The helicopter sound is the trigger that brings up all these memories that are emotionally charged from his experience of the past. And if we're working with somebody from a psychological standpoint, we would bring all these things up, this element of time and these triggers, watch out for these triggers of this helicopter, and that these memories are just something from the past, something that is in your mind, that you are being conjured up, actually, they're being remembered, and that they are just coming up from the mind itself. And so all of these same things come up in our meditation. The only difference is that we don't have a psychiatrist sitting next to us. We are the therapist and the psychiatrist and everything that's working with us. So our awareness of time can be very, very valuable in our meditation practice, in our spirituality altogether. And it's not that the past and the future are our enemies or anything like that. They can, of course, be very useful. All of our lessons and all of our wonderful memories are stored in the past. All these things that we've learned are in the past, and the future, the things that we look forward to, and the things that we create, and the things that we want, as long as we're not attached to them. Are a part of our future, our vacations that we're planning for, and our hopes and dreams, so the future is very, very valuable as well. But to be aware of these things that come up in our mind related to time, to knowing and being aware that any kind of negativity, these hindrances, desire, fear, anger, any kind of restlessness and worry, any kind of doubt. And I could go on and on with these labels that we've created for these feelings that we have associated with these emotions. They come up because of the mind, and the mind is creating these things. Anytime that the mind goes into the past, it can usually no problem finding some negativity of the past. And if it goes, which is usually, if there is negativity, it has a lot to do with fear or anger or ill will, fear or anger towards ourselves or anger towards somebody else. And in the future, of course, that would be holding our fear, false evidence that appears real. And any kind of fear that we have is fear of the unknown, fear of our future. And these things come up. The more we know about them, the healthier it is for us, and we can just see the mind in action. So our meditation practice is going into this present moment, and from the practice that we do here, the insight meditation or mindfulness-based meditation, we're not stopping anything from coming up, but we're just watching it. We're seeing it come up. We're not getting attached to anything. We're not grasping onto anything. We're just seeing it come up and seeing it fall away, moment by moment. Oftentimes, the mind will tire of all that, and it'll become very, very peaceful. And that happens to most of us with a consistent practice of meditation. All of these negativities, it seems like they stop coming up. Even if they don't come up, even if they don't stop coming up, they don't harm us anymore. They're not a threat to us. They're nothing that we see as yucky or anything negative, because we see it as just an aspect of the mind. The memory, for example, is not that much different than the breath. The mind and all of its thinking, the thinking process, these thoughts and these memories and these emotions and feelings, all these things come up, and they're always there. They always will be there. If we do not try to change it, they'll just keep flowing and flowing and flowing. And we don't have to look at them as the enemy or anything like that, just a part of who we are. And just like the breath, we breathe in and we breathe out. Every breath is going to be slightly different than the one before it. But we don't attach to the breath. We don't go, oh, that was a good breath, I'm going to hang on to that one. It's just nothing we even think about doing, nothing we try to do, because it's uncomfortable. And if we try to hang on to any of the thoughts and attach to any of the ideas that we have during meditation, or beliefs or memories during our formal meditation practice, it can be very uncomfortable and kind of throw a wrench, we could say, in our meditation practice. So the main thing is to see the past and the future as a creation of the mind, not necessarily anything bad, and not become attached to any of it, especially during our meditation practice. Any kind of attachment can cause uncomfortableness, can cause stress, and it cause what the Buddha referred to as suffering, or dukkha. So it's not necessarily the wants and the desires, or what Buddha referred to as the desire that we have. He said it was the attachments that causes the suffering for us. So it's something to consider. Let me see if there's any questions from any of these people. Not a one. Okay.
When is tax day?
What is what?
Tax day. You got me thinking about that since you mentioned that.
June 15th.
Is it?
I thought it was July now.
Oh, is it July?
I think they moved it to
Oh,
July
good.
15th, yeah.
Oh, brother.
They should have just, I thought they should have just done June, I mean, that gives everybody,
Extension? You can always file an extension, but if you owe, you're gonna start.
I owe.
You owe?
Yeah, every year. So July.
doesn't that throw up a flag to them? Like, oh, this Mark guy, he He always has an extension. I'm going to dig a little
No, I never
deeper
do
into his
extensions.
stuff.
I
Oh, you never do?
I
Oh,
always pay on time.
I thought you said you always do.
He always owes.
I always owe,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, well, I do too. I make so darn much money teaching meditation.
Oh,
I
gosh.
just have to, give it back
Oh,
to him.
gosh.
You mentioned it and you got me thinking about it. Man, oh, am I gonna miss it? And I started thinking about it.
After all that, Mark goes, "When's tax day?"
That
And
would,
I'll meditate better
that
now.
would be a hindrance called restlessness and worry,
Mhm.
Yes,
sir. Just
I actually started worrying about it. I'm like, I hope I don't forget.
Yeah, I was gonna say that restlessness and worry, that's usually like it's a future thing, restlessness and worry,
It
right?
is, yeah.
Anxiety.
Well, it could be both.
It could be in the past too?
Sure, if we,
Because you've done something and now you feel guilty about it?
yeah, guilt can
Well,
be,
then still
yeah.
thinking about the future as to the outcome though.
Well, a lot of that thing can be, it's almost like if we're worried about something that happened in the past and that could happen in the future, that's primarily fear or something, close to fear. But let's say there's grief. Grief is definitely something that happened in the past,
Yes.
like a loss of some sort. But if we have a fear that could happen again, like a lot of people do, we have fear of losing this, and that's grieving. Losing our life, our body. A big fear for somebody yesterday told me that their biggest fear was losing their spouse, that they would die before them, and there was a fear. There was fear involved, but that person said, I think I would be angry at him if he got out of here before me, That's so there would be anger involved as well. So it's very interesting. So there can be both.
You know what
But-
the solution to that is?
Not get married, I
No,
suppose.
life insurance.
Then there's desire. Yeah, a little life insurance thrown in there,
I
wouldn't it?
was thinking of one, you just mentioned it, and I was thinking, what if you told somebody something in the past that maybe you didn't want to get to another person, and you're worried about that other person finding out about it in the future.
Right, exactly.
Like
Yeah, something you've done in the past, and now you're worried about the negative outcome that may occur in the
Yeah.
future. Yes. So, yeah.
almost like a lie.
Lots of things.
Telling a lie,
Or even truths.
and then
Or a truth that
Right.
you shouldn't have told
Yeah.
that.
yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah.
Which is kind of like a lie twisted around because you
Yeah.
don't want the person to know the truth. That
Yeah,
is
there's a
true.
lot of that. So all of this that we're talking about is we're creating it in our minds. So if it was actually causing us agony or suffering of any type, it would be because we brought it on ourselves.
Correct.
That's the whole idea. Just to be aware of that. Any suffering that we have, we create ourselves. We can have a cut. We can have a cut or something, and there's some pain involved that we didn't cause, and there's some suffering that we didn't cause. But usually, that physical stuff is nothing compared to the mental anguish. Anyway, it heals pretty fast, and we're done with. But it's like somebody having surgery. They heal. The surgery isn't much, but when they get the bill, it's like, that bill that's associated with that can cause a lot more pain and suffering than the surgery itself. Okay, still no questions, so we will start our meditation here. I'll guide us through about the first 10 minutes relating to what we spoke of here. Make yourself comfortable. With the eyes closed, bring yourself to a comfortable posture. Try to keep the back straight, but relaxed. So bring your attention to the body, and I mean any aspect of the body. Maybe how you feel in the shoulders, the legs, or the pressure against the body as you sit. That tickle in your throat, how does that feel? So when we bring our attention to the body, if you notice what's going on, you're being very present. That's present moment awareness. The body is a very good tool for that. Check the body right now and see if there's any pain in the body, any discomfort at all. Just kind of scan it. Now check the body for any pleasantness. See if there's something that feels unusually pleasant for some reason. Notice the temperature of the body. Are you a little bit too warm or a little bit too chilly? Or just right? Do you feel more warmth in one part of the body than the other? Notice the warmth in the palm of your hands. Notice the warmth of the breath as it leaves your body and the coolness as it comes in. It's like we're actually warming the breath. Cool breath comes in and the warm breath goes out. Notice the movement of the body when we breathe. Stomach slightly moving, the chest moving as we breathe in and out. And so again, if you notice what is happening while we're using the body and focusing on different aspects of the body, this body awareness brings us into the present moment. So anytime we do any investigation in the body, or scan the body, or sweep the body with the mind or the imagination, with our awareness, or when we use the breath as our focal point, if we can stay with that, we become very, very present. In other words, we don't think about the past or the future. We're not concerned with it. And then when the mind starts daydreaming, it usually daydreams towards the past or towards the future. Sometimes the mind can be daydreaming and it seems like a fantasy. It seems as if we're not in the past, or we're not in the future. It's almost a dreamlike state. And although it seems like we're very present, what that usually means is that we're fatigued, that we're tired. And that's another type of hindrance to our practice. And so we're not able to go deep enough into our practice. It's just kind of a superficial state that usually will take us deeper into tiredness, deeper into fatigue. And it can be a nuisance for a meditator. In most cases, we can notice whether the mind is present or come back and recall the moment when the mind was present, or recognize when it's in the past or in the future. Things that did happen or things that might happen. Situations, visualizations, and creations, either pleasant or unpleasant. And as mentioned, the Buddha talked of the hindrances to our meditation practice, also the hindrances to our happiness as it relates to meditation and concentration. And when I was asking you to bring your attention to these different aspects of the body, they're likely, if you're following my instructions, you're likely we're free of desire. You're likely free of any kind of anger or ill will. And you're likely free of any kind of restlessness and worry where the mind comes around and around and around and worries about this and that, and sometimes where the mind is just restless because I gave it a job to do, which is to look at these different aspects of the body. There was no doubt in the practice because it was working, and hopefully there was no sloth and torpor or the fatigue. And these are the 5 hindrances. So your invitation this evening is to rest in the present moment. This is nothing new for most of us. And notice that when you are in the present moment, this element of time called the present moment, when you're in that there are no hindrances. And be very sensitive to the mind moving from this presence into the past or future. Because we're all time travelers. And we can easily go from something that happened years ago when we were a young person. Remember all of this and be very creative about what happened and different scenarios, and we can go years into the future, how our retirement might be or what the world will be like 10 years from now or 20 years from now. So we can travel in time within the mind. But that's not something that we want to do in meditation, simply because There's so much to be learned while we're resting in this presence. And if the mind, for some reason, thinks it's healing to go into the past or the future, it'll go there regardless. And it's our job to notice that, to really touch it with our awareness and see what's coming up out of it. But not to dwell there, not to stay there, but to learn the lessons that this has for us, if there are any, and then come back to the presence, which often means coming back to the breath or whatever our meditation object might be. And in this presence, this is where we find peace of mind. And we also find that this is a starting point for all this creativity and all these lessons that we can learn through the practice of meditation. And since practice is best done when it's silent, I will stop talking and we'll use the rest of the time for silent meditation. It'll be about 18 minutes of silence. Bring the palms of your hands together in front of you, if you would like. May each one of us and all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to us, may no difficulties come to us, and may we all meet with spiritual and worldly success. And may we have the patience, courage, and the understanding to meet and overcome any problems or any difficulties that we might face in life. Thank you. So the theme was presence, of course, and it always is. A lot of times when we realize and when we really focus in on what presence is, we can be kind of surprised by what the mind focuses on, what it should be focusing on as regard to not letting the mind go into the past or future. And anytime we're thinking of something that happened, we're allowing the mind to get to, have its way. Anytime that we're noticing the mind trying to create something, or trying to plan something, or think of something that could happen or might happen in the future, we're letting the mind have its way. That is, if we made the intention to be in the present moment as much as we can. And again, it's, there's nothing, we're not trying to force the mind to be in a certain place or anything like that. We just want to be very, very aware that it is or isn't there. So I thought it might be worthwhile to mention some of the things that when we are present, what the mind is doing, and when we're not present, what the mind is doing. For example, we could throw out the question, is if we are present, is visualization okay? I mean, what we are visualizing. Visualization is going to be there. I mean, when images and things come up in the mind, but if we visualize, for example, if we visualize a project that we're doing, we are, like I was saying earlier, just saying that the mind is getting its way. So what if we were visualizing something, what would be okay? What would be a safe area? So if we're very, very present, in the present moment, we're not allowing the mind to go in the past or the future, and a visualization comes up based on the present moment, what might that look like? What are some of the possibilities? Let's say that you're resting in the present moment and you want to be there. Could you not visualize some healing aspect of the body that's happening now in the present moment?
Of course.
Yeah, that'd be present moment awareness. Some other imagery, like if we imagine the breath, present moment imagery, visualization. If we imagine and visualize the breath coming in and out, like some people do for their practice, they might inhale pink and exhale blue, for example. And so that's a present moment visualization, anything like that. If we did body scan, when I'm scanning the body, I actually visualize these body parts, the head, the forehead, and the eyes, and the nose, and the jaw, and work my way down the body. And I actually visualize these things just to kind of stay with it. And so that's the visualization that could be very present. If we're visualizing us counting the money that we're going to be making next week, of course that wouldn't be very present. That would throw us out. If we're visualizing an accident that happened to us years ago, of course that's not present. But yet, the still visualizations. Visualization of our somehow any kind of function of any organ, if we visualized how it was working. Very similar to visualize a healing quality, something that's healing in our body now. And of course, like we were using quite a bit in the beginning of the meditation, I was directing you to any aspect of the body that we are using the body for present moment awareness. And usually there's the imagery attached to it. I said to notice any kind of pain within the body, maybe a pain in the back. And to me, there's a visualization right there. The visualizing the back and almost seeing any kind of discomfort in the body. Different color or whatever it might be. So it's still very, very present. And the reason I bring that up is because a lot of people get confused like that, and they also realize that they are kind of frightened of the present moment. That they feel uncomfortable being there because they don't cognitively bring yourself to that. Because when we start using the cognition, the brain and the wonderful thinking power that we have, it's usually related to the past, something that happened, or creating the future, thinking of the future. We're not very used to purposely coming into that present moment. And so, and a lot of it might be because we're not used to it is like, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be visualizing? All these different things. But the more we're aware of it, and the more we consciously know what we are doing when we're in the present moment, the easier it is. Sensations, any kind of sensation in the body that we're aware of is present moment awareness. How about states? How about the deep states? Gotcha on that one, didn't I? So moods and emotions, if we can have an emotion, of course, come up based on something that happened in the past. A memory comes up, and all of a sudden there's almost a chemical reaction in the body that says, "Oh, I don't want to think about that. It doesn't feel good, whatever." And sometimes we don't even notice these things. But if we're really in tune with the body, we notice that there's body reactions, chemical reactions to every thought that we have. Literally every thought has a reaction in the body, that connection, mind-body connection. But if we oftentimes we do this, and I'm sure you've heard me say, what mood or emotion are you experiencing at this moment? Like actually pointing to you to go within and noticing that I am happy or I am sad or whatever's happening within. And that is present moment awareness as well. Usually referred to as mindfulness, to be mindful in that moment is the same thing as that present moment awareness. What am I experiencing at this time, bodily or mentally? What kind of emotion am I experiencing right now? And if we're in meditation, and we're sensitive to that, keep coming back to that and noticing that that's present moment awareness. All sorts of things that we can use as tools to, come into that present moment. And the whole idea behind this is if we can do it in meditation, then we can do it outside of meditation. And the value of that is, of course, self-discovery and clarity of mind, and really living in the moment. I mean, living in this presence. There is an author that, speaking of time, and there's an author that wrote a book called The Power of the Past. No, that wasn't it. It was called The Power of the Future. No, that wasn't it.
I could tell the power.
Oh, it was The Power of Now. That's what.
He's being
Preaching
funny.
to the choir.
He's being funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Power of Now, so it's a blockbuster. And so, it's just being familiar with it. It's just being familiar with the present moment. Not being afraid of it, like some people really are, And some people don't understand it. What is the present moment, Why can't I just sit here and let the mind go here and there? And, I mean, you can. People can do that in their meditation. But to understand ourselves at a deeper level and to understand those deep states, some people use words, the mantras and stuff like that to become very, very present. Some people use, malas to, so they're using even tactile feelings. Sometimes people will, kind of rub their fingers together and all sorts of things to become into that presence, to stay there. Anything else from anybody? Okay, I'm going to thank everybody for being here. And the people online, my iPad ran out of battery, so thank you. And we'll see you next week. And that's it. Thank you very much, everybody.